Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about installing Windows deployment services and adding and deploying a client, our operating system client to a machine, right? So what we want to do is go to Server Manager, and what we're going to do is click on the Add Roles link. We're going to click Next, and we're going to click the Windows deployment services, right? Click Next on it. Click Next. Deployment server and transport server needed to be added, so we're going to click Next also. We're going to install. Now it's going to take a few minutes, so I'm just going to pause the video and or this unnecessary will not be showing. Okay, so we are back and it is completely installed. So now that we have the role here, we can see here Windows deployment services. So what we want to go to is the option in administrative tools, Windows deployment services, right? So we have here servers, and when we go on it, we would see that exclamation mark, because our server has not been configured. So obviously we're going to have to configure a server. So right clicking on the server and click configure server, and this is the checklist that we need to clear before we continue. If we don't have it, then we can't install anything. So we click next, and this is the location of where it is. Now we're gonna get a warning stating that the remote installation should be placed on a separate volume and all those sort of things, but that is not necessary. That is not really necessary. We can do it because we're just doing a tutorial purpose. So we click yes, and we want to click check these two boxes, which is do not listen on port 67 and configure DHCP option 62PXE client, and we click next. And what we want to do is click we respond to all clients and known and unknown. Okay, you may want to select this in a real world because it is more secure. So we click next on it, and we're going to copy and start installing these deployment services. So now it's completed. We want to uncheck this and click finish. Right, and now we have the option here to add images, install images. I'm going to click add install image, and the image group is going to just be by default. So you could name it anything you want, but I'm going to leave it as that. Click next, browse, and we have it here in our DVD. So we're going to click sources, and we're going to have install.wim. We're going to select that file, and you're going to click open. I'm going to click next. Now we have here the Windows 7 Ultimate and 64-bit and 32-bit, but we could leave all, and so we're going to click next. We're going to click next, and they're going to begin adding the images. The operating system has been the image has been successfully added, so we're going to click finish. And now what we want to do is add boot image, right? So we're going to click add boot image, and we're going to find that in the same location, right? So we click open, click next, and we're going to leave this name as default and click next, click next, and now it's going to add the image, the boot image. Alright, so that has completed. And now that we have a boot image and install images in our file, in our Windows deployment services. Okay, so now what we want to do now is install the image to our client computer. But before we do that, we want to ensure that certain things are met, right? So what we want to do is ensure that our machine, our client machine that I have running here, is set up properly, right? So what we want to do is go to the system, and what we want to do is set this network as first. But in order for this to boot from the network properly, we have to install an addition from the VirtualBox site, which is the extension pack for the PXE boot, right? We must have that extension pack in order for it to boot from the network, right? So all you need to do is go to the website and download that, and you'll be able to have it there so that the network can boot, so it can boot from the network. But nevertheless, I already have that installed already. So this client is already set up. So I'm going to proceed to install the image, right? The image that we created earlier on, right? Which will be this image here. So it would Windows 7 on to this client machine, right? And next thing that we want to ensure that is when we start the client, we want to ensure that we press the appropriate button to ensure to boot from the network. So let's do that right now. So we're going to boot the client. Right, click. So we press F12 to boot from the network. So now we have here that the images are we're going to load the files. Setup is loading files, and this is the location of the file. So it is installing from the server onto the client. Okay, so while trying to continue my installation of the Windows 7 operating system, my VirtualBox continuously seems to be crashing, and I don't see the error. But this is what generally happens, that after that previous clipping, it comes here to Windows Deployment Services, and they ask you. This is where it comes up to just as installing operating system as normal. I took this clipping from PCTechStream.com, and when you go, they then ask you to enter the server username and password so that you can authorize the installation, and then they will ask you to select operating type of operating system, a version of Windows 7. Then they would allow you to select the space where it will be installed to, and from here they would show you that the installation will continue automatically unless the server initiates your session. This means that sometimes that the server needs to manually initiate the installation of the operating system, but sometimes it's set automatically, right? So click next on that, and this would be the name. It will automatically create a name and username for it. You can select whatever name you want, and this is what will happen next. It will come to our startup, right? This actually shows that the computer is the one that was installed, and this is the server that shows that the computer was added to the address as one of the operating client. So that's basically it. And thank you for watching the video. I hope it was much informative, even though the